Assalamu Alaikum. Now, shoulder injuries are one of those things that people who work out have to deal with all the time, and even those who don't work out. I myself have been suffering from shoulder injuries since I've started working out, just from improper form and other sports-related injuries. Now, before we get into some quick tips about how you can prevent shoulder injury, just make sure that you go consult your doctor or any other health professional first before you do anything outlined in this video, or you can potentially cause irreparable damage to your shoulder. And with that, let's get right into the tips. The first and most important tip, I think, in preventing shoulder injuries is learning how to pack your shoulders and utilizing your lower and mid traps. You know, a lot of us were working office jobs and, we're sitting over a desk, over a computer like this for hours on end. And, a lot of us have bad lifting habits, and that's causing us to have really tight upper traps. This dominance in our upper traps can cause weakness in our shoulder stability. So in movements like the bench press, the overhead press, and even rowing movements, we can potentially cause injury to our shoulders. By learning how to pack our shoulders, we're able to put our shoulders in a very safe position where they're not compromised and they're actually very stable. That way we can push off of them and do any rowing movement without any concern. Now, the way that we pack our shoulders is by first retracting and then depressing our shoulders. This activates our lower and mid trap and takes some emphasis off of our upper trap. From the back you can see I retract first and then depress. A lot of people are guilty of just retracting and not depressing the shoulder blades, so they're stuck here. This is still putting our shoulders in a good position, but it's not as effective as also depressing our shoulders, which activates lower traps a lot better. So let me demonstrate what packing your shoulders looks like with a movement like the shoulder press. So what you're going to do is retract your shoulders and then depress them. Right now I'm in a very stable position to push up off of. Feel no pain in my shoulders and I feel like a very stable position. Now let me show you the same movement from the back. So we retract and then depress. A lot of times what you'll see people do with this movement is they come up and they kind of like shrug their shoulders like this in the movement. Now this is putting your shoulders in a very unstable position and can cause injury. And you're coming out of your packed shoulder position by doing this. So let me demonstrate from the back. So you see they're coming up. Even if they're starting with a good position, with retracted shoulders, depressed shoulders, they come up and they come up like this. See, you're taking your shoulders out of that stable position and putting it into a more compromised position. So make sure when you're doing this movement, retract, depress, up, maintain that position, and then come back down. So one of my favorite ways of learning how to pack your shoulders is to do the one-arm dumbbell row. So if what you're going to do this exercise is get into a one-arm dumbbell position with one hand on something stable and the dumbbell in the other hand, and while the dumbbell is hanging, you're going to retract and depress your shoulder. From there, you're going to bring your elbow back until you feel the maximal contraction in your lats. There's a misconception out there that you have to bring the dumbbell all the way to your belly. That is not true. All you have to do is feel the contraction in your lats, and then you can bring the weight back down. So we're gonna do that again. Bring the weight back down. You can let it hang a little bit so you can practice the movement. And retract, depress the shoulder, and bring the elbow back up. Feel the contraction, and then bring it back down. Retract, depress, feel the contraction, bring it back down. Last time, retract, depress, bring up the elbow, feel the contraction. You can even hold the contraction here to get a really good feel of the movement, and then bring it back down. So the next quick tip on keeping healthy shoulders is to make sure you warm up your shoulders before each and every workout. I do this warm up before squats, bench press, overhead press, or any other thing that requires my shoulders. So the first thing we're going to do is work the rotator cuff from different angles. So you're going to go 20 reps from the side. And you don't want to go crazy with this. All you want to do is feel the stretch and then come back. You can do this for 20 reps on this side. Then you're going to switch arms. After that, you're going to come over and work the rotator cuff from a different angle. Here, you're going to go for another 20 reps. Same thing, feel the stretch from up top and then come back down. Nothing too crazy. Do that on the other arm for another 20 reps, and then do side laterals. Another 20 reps here. Get a good pump in your shoulders while you're doing this. Switch arms, do another 20 reps on this side, and you're good to go. Another thing you can add in to warm up your rear delts and really practice that packing of the shoulders movement that we talked about earlier is to take a mini band and just stretch it out and come back. Do that 20 times. I can do this without a mini band. I can still feel it. Really practice that packing of the shoulders movement. So the last tip on keeping your shoulders nice and healthy is to make sure you stretch out your traps at the end of every workout or before you even perform the bench press or the overhead press or any other shoulder involved movement. The reason you want to stretch before you do these movements is because stretching actually deactivates the muscle. So by deactivating the muscle, we'll be using more of our mid and lower traps, which is what we want to target, and not our tight upper traps. So one way to stretch out our upper traps is to just tilt our head to one side and, just slightly move your head to one side. Hold the stretch for 20 seconds. You'll really feel the stretch along your upper trap here, a little bit of your shoulder. To increase the stretch, what you want to do is take your palm like this and push down. Now this is really going to put a lot of emphasis on stretching out your traps. Hold this for 20 seconds and then do the other side. Another way to loosen up your tight traps so they don't bother you is to take a lacrosse ball like this and do some myofascial release. So take a lacrosse ball and put it behind your traps and just roll it out. Now this is going to be able to release a lot of the tension that you have built up in there. And when you find that spot where it's really tight, just stay there and leave it for another 20 seconds. Just get nice and loose and keep going back and forth. Do this at the end of every day. I like to do it after I take a shower because your muscles are already loose at that point. Feels pretty good. You finish on this side, go to the other side, and then you're done. Now we all know how much getting an injury sucks. I mean, it can get depressing, especially when you have to take a couple months off of the gym just to recover. But there's a bright side to it. The first thing is that it helps us correct our form. If we want to prevent ourselves from getting an injury next time, we're obviously going to put in the time and effort to perfect our form so it doesn't happen again. Secondly, it makes us appreciate how important every joint and muscle in our body is. I mean, especially when basic fundamental movements are compromised because one joint won't work, it makes us appreciate wow, my shoulder does a lot. For example, picking up something from the highest shelf becomes a huge challenge when your shoulder is injured. And that's something we can really appreciate. Jazakallah khair for watching. If you liked it, please like the video, share it with whoever you think would benefit, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and inshallah see you in the next video. Assalamu Alaikum wa rahmatullah. So next quick tip on keeping healthy